Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feeling strange. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the new company. My name is Michael-Shawn You guys can follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. My at name has not changed. It's also dangling next to the single chain I am wearing for those who can see that on our YouTube channel, which, by the way, is Seahawks Man to Man. Seahawks Man, the number 2 man is the name of the channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the good buttons, share everything. Do that on our Instagram, our TikTok. Seahawks Man, the number 2 man is the name of all those handles. Thank you so much in advance. Chris, go ahead, talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at CKIDD206. Make sure you follow our TikTok, Seahawks Man to Man, Instagram, Seahawks Man to Man, for just a bunch of content throughout the shows. We appreciate all the love and support.
All right. First one, Chris, I didn't even tell you this yet. You had asked me, like, you mentioned what your one big thing was going to be or something. And I was like, oh, damn, we do one big thing, huh? I just completely forgot what
I knew you did. When I texted you, I was like, this guy probably forgot because we haven't done it in a year.
Yeah, no, I completely forgot. Yeah, no, it's just been a lot. Yeah, so yes,
you wrote a book. You got a son.
Yeah. I bought a house. It's been really busy and just forgot that we do the one big thing. Before we get into our preview show. So on the back half of this show, we had a great convo with Mike DeFabo, covers the Steelers for The Athletic, dives into all the stuff you need to know ahead of that matchup. But before we look forward, let's spend a little bit of time looking back at the week 1 game. Chris and I have watched the film of the Seahawks loss to the Niners. We each have our one big kind of takeaway from it. We'll still do our standout plays later in the week, but that'll be a YouTube exclusive. This one obviously is on all audio platforms as well. So, Chris, I am kicking it off. Is that correct? The one big thing?
I can go first. It's no biggie.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So my one big thing after watching, I'll be honest, I've only saw the offensive tape. I'm watching the defensive tape as soon as this ends. So by Friday, well, actually by Wednesday, by the time this airs, I'll be all caught up. But I asked Mike previously, I said, Mike, man, how's that defensive film? Mike was like, oh, think of your favorite meal. That's what it was like.
That's that good stuff, man. That was good. That was good stuff until like the final 5 plays. Just 2. But anyway, go ahead with your one big thing on offense.
One big thing is something that actually Mike talked about before we chopped it up with Grant Cohn regarding Sam Darnold. And I think it's fitting because after week 1 and after watching the game live and after the performance and watching the film, I'm thinking, after watching the game, I was like, damn, Sam he didn't really throw nothing that made me go, hey, he can really spin the ball, or he's really good at throwing the football here in tight windows, anything of that magnitude. It was more so check down Charlie. And then I had to think, I said, well, let me go back and watch the tape. And you know what? He did have some throws that he needs to make, or he could have made, or he just missed. And I'm thinking, okay, I know he can make those type of plays because against the Seahawks last season when he was on the Vikings, that game-winning touchdown, my man got drilled and found JSN Jackson. Oh my gosh, I'm getting all these names. Justin Jefferson in the end zone. In a little coverage bust, but you get my point. Sam was able to step up in the pocket with pressure and deliver a strike to Justin Jefferson. So I wanted to just point out a few plays where I'm like, I know he's going back with the offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, and the quarterback's coaches and saying, yeah, I can make that throw 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10, because I think, Mike, you've mentioned it. He has a cannon. He can throw the ball. So the first play is in the second quarter. It's 3rd and 11. So as you guys all know by now, the Seahawks went 3 of 12 on third downs, 3 of 10 on third downs. Not good at all. And this was one of them. The Niners come out and they are showing blitz out of their nickel package, their base defense. The pocket, when he drops back, pop, and is looking downfield, it's pretty clean. Albeit, At the snap, it looked a little messy. Charbonnet, number 53, D. Winters. Oh my God. My chest hurts for Charbonnet. I'm not going to lie. He gets blown up, okay? And that might have made Sam hesitate just a little bit. Also, JSN on the out route, sure, he got a little physical at the top of the route, but JSN is more than capable of winning that route and making a completion there. But I do think seeing Charbonnet just get bodied and your quarterback's like, oh, shoot, like, I don't have time. I think he kind of just gets it out just maybe a hair early. And as I mentioned, I'm confident he can make those throws under duress. I just think he just shorthanded just a little bit. And that goes incomplete. So instead of the drive extending in the second quarter on a 3rd and 11, now you got to punt the football. And unfortunately, 3rd and 11, you don't get a completion. What happens? They have to punt. So that's just one aspect where I'm like, yeah, Sam, I need you to stay in that pocket and deliver it. And I need JSN to finish it. So both parties didn't do a great job, Sam and JSN. And then also the Seahawks would love to have Charbonnet be a little bit more physical on that block there. Stand your ground. I mean, you can get blown back, but to get knocked off your feet is a little different, right? So that was kind of the first instance I'm thinking, okay, Sam definitely would want that one back. And I'm sure JSN would too. The second play that I want to reference is there's about 30 seconds left in the first half. And the Niners, they are showing we can go mano a mano. And what I mean by that, man-to-man across the board. You'll have one safety that's covering the field, and then you're going to have the linebacker drop to the middle of the field. Okay, someone's doing a post, deep dig, those type of things. So basically, they're leaving them guys one-on-one. And that's a sign for Cooper Kupp to win on a route, JSN to win. And if Torrey Horton gets some burn, he can potentially have a chance to win those one-on-one routes as well. As I mentioned, JSN has one-on-one against Upton Stout. Mike mentioned this on the post-game show. We ain't never heard of the brother. No discredit to him. Number 20, that is, Upton Stout. And JSN, I know we have talked about his route running a little bit, but he runs a beautiful out and up. So basically in this scenario, JSN is going to, when the ball is snapped, he's going to run 6 yards straight up the field, pivot, hit that out route like, oh, it's going to be an out. What does the DB do? He's going to try to maybe jump that or cover it. And then immediately after that, he flips his hips and goes up the sideline. JSN does. And just watching it live, I'm thinking this will be a big explosive. And unfortunately, when you guys saw the game, he missed it. Sam missed it by a hair. And when I talk about a clean pocket, Sam gets into a spot. Nobody is near him. He can have a sandwich, have some tea. It is a clean pocket. That's what you would want. He just missed. And on the route, JSN does get bumped. Sure, maybe it could have been a little pass interference, but we're talking about JSN here. He's usually good at winning that. It's a very slight bump. It's nothing that I don't think JSN has cannot get through and still make a completion. I do think Sam just let it go a little bit too much. Just put too much mustard on there. And that's a throw that I know he definitely wants back. And again, instead of potentially getting a touchdown, the Seahawks only end up getting 3. And against the Niners, you want to put touchdowns on the board. You can see how 3 points didn't really help them. Even though I'm a guy that says, attempt the points. I am here on this side of things saying, nah, let's see if they get a touchdown. And that was an opportunity that was missed. All right. If I'm not mistaken, I think that was also 1st and 10. So you could have really got down there, gotten out of bounds, and been in the red zone and didn't use a timeout or anything. So yeah, it was 1st and 10 with about 30 seconds left in this first half. Those were just plays that, Sam, I know you can deliver. You ain't that bad of a quarterback. We've seen you do it. So you got to make those plays. And the last one that I wanted to look at is you got a 10-10 ball game, fourth quarter. This is, dare I say, win time, right? This is a time where you make these plays, it separates you from a win-loss column. And there's, I want to say, just under 9 minutes, 10-10 ball game. And this is after, this play that I'm talking about is after, I almost texted Mike after that screen to JSN that went for -8 yards, but I didn't. And Mike teased me about it on the postgame show. Niners are yet again showing man-to-man across the board with 2 safeties high. So they're saying, yeah, we got y'all. It's 2nd and 18. What you got? At the snap, the left corner, number 25, Jason Pinnock, I think. Pinnock. he drops to the middle of the field. So now it's cover one robber.
Yes.
Yeah, so he drops to cover one robber, basically taking away anything across the middle, and they're saying, yeah, one-on-one, we got you guys. And JSN, he's matched up against another corner, 0, Renardo Green. JSN has great separation off the snap because they're playing press. JSN gives him a nice little move, goes up the sideline. He got him. He has him beat. And once again, Darnold back there, beautiful pocket, no pressure. Just doesn't put enough oomph into it. Hell, I would have been okay with an overthrow. I'll be honest. A little aggressive there. 2nd and 18. I get it. He just underthrows it, giving the defender, who, mind you guys, does not do something that I always complain about, turning your head around. Because if he does that, Buddy might have an interception. But he doesn't. He's not. I think this is his 2nd year in the league, if I'm not mistaken, for Renardo Green. Nonetheless, it's underthrown. Yes, JSN jumps up to try and snag it, and give credit to number 0, Renardo Green. He fights for it and is able to rip the ball out. But I'm sure if Sam leads JSN down the field, we're talking about a big completion. They're in the red zone. I think actually they're probably in the red zone on this play. So those are 3 instances in the game where Sam just didn't come through in those big moments, albeit the first 2. Okay, one was to end the first half, and the other one was in the second quarter. But you can see throughout the game, you missing on those. You look back at it, that could potentially be 2 touchdowns left off the board. That's 14 points, potentially, if things go as planned. So, and of course, on that last drive that I talked about, where Sam Darnold underthrows JSN and the defender is able to rip the ball out for an incomplete pass, the next play ends because Jackson Smith and Jigba fumbles on a screen. So sometimes making those big time throws is huge, as you can see here with these 3 plays that I detailed. And that's my one big thing. Sam Darnold delivering on not the biggest stage, but when the Seahawks need him to not be just a game manager and make some challenging or easy throws in some scenarios, because again, the pocket was very clean on 2 of them, you got to deliver. And he just missed on those. So that's my one big thing from the Seahawks-Niners game from Sunday in week 1.
I have 2 takeaways from that. One of them is I've never seen anyone. Is a crumpet a sandwich? Would that be why you would have a sandwich with tea? Is that
crumpets and tea? Good job, Mike.
Is a crumpet a sandwich? Is it
crumpets and tea? I don't know what it is, but I know crumpets and tea. I've heard of it. It's something the Brits do, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is that your British accent? Oh, wow.
We're gonna act like that didn't happen, but go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, you are the editor of the show, so you can do that. Yeah, tea and crumpets. Yeah, it's a iconic British food pairing. I don't know, what is a crumpet? A crumpet is a griddled bread with a unique spongy texture and a multitude of small holes on top, perfect for holding melted butter. There you go. I don't know if that's a sandwich. Looks like a cake, like a griddle cake almost. So there you go. I was thinking about that when you said Sam was back there so long he could have a sandwich and some tea. Like, we just made Sam British on the show. Good for him.
I'll say a PB&J with milk next time.
No, it's okay. That's all right. This is my second takeaway was don't run screens. Yeah, there we go.
He just had to get it in. He could have said anything.
Jackson can't fumble on a screen if you don't run a screen.
Okay, you're funny. I think it's time for your one big thing. What do you say, Mike?
That's true. All right. Without further ado, my one big thing was the offense not living up to what it said it was going to be, and that's not necessarily the offense thought it was going to drop a 30 ball on these guys and they didn't drop a 30 ball, so that's disappointing. No. I think there were several issues, not several, but 2 main issues that stood out with the offense, and one of them, thinking about it, listening to Mike McDonald talk about it, like really got me like. I got the heebie-jeebies are almost a little deja vu or something. I don't know, just something bad. It's bad recall. It's almost like a PTSD. There we go. There's a term for it. So the first thing I want you guys to hear is this is Mike McDonald on Monday when asked about their lack of play action usage in the game against the 49ers. Here's Mike.
We need to action more. We need more movement. So we'll call it and we'll execute it when called.
Great, Mike. That sounds cool. Got to run more play action. Put a pin in that. when I was walking back to, you guys can see that's in the indoor practice facility. When I was walking back to my laptop, I was like, man, I swear I've heard him say that before. Am I bugging? Of course I'm not bugging because I'm there every day. So I know when I hear something again. This is Mike Macdonald on December 16th. This is, I believe, after the Packers game. He's talking about the relationship between running the ball effectively and play action. So that explains the second half of what you're about to hear. But listen to what he says. What is that? 10 months ago.
We have a good play action pass game. Probably should see more of it, frankly. But I think to a certain extent, the effectiveness of your run game affects play action game, especially if you got it really going. Those are good plays.
Okay. As you guys can see, that's the same damn thing. That is December to now is already the coach asking for more play action. Now, I don't want to make it bigger than it is. Saying you need it more is not like the worst thing in the world, but it's like, how did we get to the point where Mike's saying that nothing changes? He fires the guy, fires Grubb. Fine. You hire the new guy. You guys are supposedly in alignment with one another, alignment in air quotes. You spend all offseason designing this. You tell us it's going to be the wide zone, play action. You do all that in camp. We see it. We see it in the preseason. They're play action, play action, play action. And then you get into the game and you do it twice. We're in 2 play action concepts, unless you want to count the screen that lost like 8 yards or whatever to Jackson, because it was kind of a fake. Sam runs one way and throws the other. That didn't get charted as play action. So let's exclude that from the sample. But otherwise, they had two play action concepts. The first one, it was a play action play, and it ends up being like a deep shot to Jackson Smith-Njigba down the sideline. Great throw, great anticipation, great locating the ball from Jax, stays in bounds, like a 21-yard gain. Great. Perfect. That was in the first half. They don't run another one till later, and it's a play action like rollout after a big game by Ken on the ground. So you got the run success rate, and then boom, you run play action right off it. Great. Sam carries out the fake. Looks like he's playing the air guitar. You know, if you ever watch Hard Knocks, you'll see the quarterbacks coaches teach these guys like make the fakes all look the same. Carry it out with your hand. Does it? There's no one open. Sam runs for 5 yards and a first down on like 2nd and 2 or 3 or something like that. That's it. No more. No more of this thing that was supposed to be the thing. And I just don't like that. I don't like how we already are at the point where the coach is like, yeah, no, that thing we said we should do that more. What you mean? What? And I'm not necessarily blaming anyone for it per se, but it does, having heard similar stuff before, and that's just one example of hearing Mike say it. And last year, there were plenty of times when you could have easily cut up. I could have made an entire cut up of Darrell Bevel saying a thing that they need to do more, and then Shoddy saying a thing they need to do more, and then Shane Waldron saying a thing they need to do more, and then like I could do that. I've heard that before, and it's just like, this is why some of these guys aren't here anymore. And already you're supposed to be more in alignment, and you only do it twice, and there was just no reason. Like that should be the staple of the offense, not all these like true drop back stuff where Jackson's the only guy. You notice Chris, those plays he just talked about, it's Jackson every time. Just throwing to Jackson. You know, it's the Jackson offense. Or like Mike Macdonald said, the Jack show, you know, which we already talked about. That was predictable. It was the Jack show all summer. But I did not like that. Did not like it even more when you look at Chris. They ran 2 play action plays against the Niners. I told you before the show, so you know the answer. But can you tell the people how many play action concepts they ran in just one drive with Sam Darnold against the Chiefs in the preseason?
They ran 3.
They ran, Chris is correct. They ran more play action on one freaking drive in a game that didn't count than they did in an entire game against the 49ers in the opener. Not to say their entire offense needs to be play action, but dog, what are we doing here? You know, you're supposed to, and the reason it's my one big thing is not because Mike's just like this play action nerd. I don't really care either way. But if you say that's going to be your identity, put your money where your mouth is. And that was an issue. That kind of goes to my other issues. Like they were supposed to be this like really good perimeter run team. And yes, the Niners knew that was coming, but who cares? The good run teams are able to run when you know the run is coming. And those runs did not hit as well as they should have. A lot of those tosses, so those wide zones, it just didn't hit very well. Now, granted, some of their other runs didn't either. But it just some of them in particular, they just look like guys didn't even know which dude to block. There was a sequence. I want to say it might even precede your 3rd and 11 example, Chris, where they toss it to Ken. He tries to hit outside. It doesn't look like AJ knows what he's supposed to block. Cooper may have blocked his guy instead. Ken goes nowhere towards the Niners sideline. The next play is like a quick game throw to AJ. AJ runs the wrong route. Either that or Sam throws the wrong route. So now it's 3rd and long, and I believe that ended up being the 3rd and 11. Yeah. So that's just what happened to all the clarity that's supposed to be in the scheme. What happened to we're going to be the perimeter team. We're going to run this ball. We're going to fire off the ball. All this stuff. Not to say 1 week means you didn't do any of it, but it really just. Excuse me, 1 week of not doing it doesn't mean you can't for the next 16 games. But it really stood out. They're just like, this didn't look like what it's supposed to. It'd be one thing if it did week 1, and then by week 7, we're like, where was the week 1 offense? Remember, because we did that in 2021. They played the Colts. Shane Waldron looked like a freaking genius out there with the motions and the this and it looked great. And then by week 9, Russ was like, yeah, we should get back to that. I'm like, what do you mean? Y'all don't talk about this before the games? Like, what's going on? And it just gave me that feeling again of like talking one thing, doing another thing. And that worries me because we've seen that. We've seen that before. We saw it in 2018 with Shoddy as well. It's supposed to be this run team. You get in the game against Denver, you don't run the ball. You get to the Bears game in week 2, you don't run the ball to the point where Shoddy had to get sat down by Pete and be like, hey, I hired you to run the ball, right? And then he obviously listened. So, but the fact that it took that was concerning, that being the sit down between Pete and Shoddy. So, yeah, that really stood out to me. That was my one big thing because, and to close this out, the reason why this is where I am in favor of more play action. The reason why this team in particular needs it in a way that I don't think the Grub team needed it as much, that's what's going to get these other guys open. It is. As Chris just talked about some of those plays, and as anyone who watched the film will tell you, all the plays are for Jax because he's the one who gets open the fastest. Play action stuff, other guys can kind of get schemed open a little easier. You can hit AJ Barner in stride on a rollout. You can run some misdirection and hit Torrey Horton on a deep post. You can't do all that stuff if you're just straight drop back, find Jax. Because even if the other guys are in the progression, Jax is probably open because he was most of the damn game because he's cold like that. But to get these other guys open, to scheme them open, quote unquote, run some more misdirection, run some more boots, like run the offense that gave the Seahawks problems when the receivers were Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp getting thrown to by Jared Goff. That offense had the Seahawks in shambles. And it was just a bunch of boots and motion and movement, as Mike McDonald called it. I can't imagine going the whole summer and the whole training camp and the whole preseason doing what they were doing and then just not doing it in week 1, at least at the rate that we're used to. So that was very concerning. If you're looking for some good news, I think they can easily fix that. It's not that they have to draw up new plays. There's probably 50 bazillion play action concepts out of the gun and out of under center in the playbook already. All you got to do is go to them. I'm surprised Mac McDonald didn't walk up to the booth or wherever Clint was, grab the sheet and say, run this, fake and do this. I think it's an easy fix, so it can get fixed. My one big thing from week 1 is that it was even a problem in the first place because it should not have been. That should have been the last thing that ever was missing from the offense is successful perimeter runs and play action. Dog, that's the scheme. If you want to do this other stuff, could have kept Grubb. There were people tweeting me during the game. It was like, Mike, is Grubb back? It's like, you know what? It looked like it on film a little bit. So Seahawks need to fix that. It's very fixable. I imagine they will against the Steelers. If they don't, they will lose. I can almost guarantee you that. But I do think they will fix it. But yeah, it just shouldn't have been a problem in the first place. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
We appreciate it, Mike. It's all good. But look, that was one big thing. Again, we appreciate all the love and support on X or Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. We appreciate it.
Sorry, this has turned from one big thing to one more thing. I just wanted to throw a number out there just to quantify how ridiculous this was. So, Chris, last year, do you know where the Saints ranked in play action usage?
I would say
They were 21st at 22.6%. Although they're probably not a good example. Even though 22.6%, hold that. Right. All right. So cool. The Vikings with Sam were 29%, 29.3 to be specific. That was sixth in the league. Right. So it's very clear that Sam can succeed in that. And the numbers kind of get skewed a little bit because everyone got hurt in New Orleans. But even then, they were at 22%, right, for the season. Chris, are you ready now to hear what the Seahawks were percentage-wise in week 1? Are you ready?
Single digit.
8.3%. The lowest in the league in week 1.
You can bet that's going up.
Oh, yeah. 8.3%. The average is 23%, by the way, at least for week 1. That number will change. But that puts I wanted to quantify what I was saying. They were the least used play action team in the league. What the hell? That's ridiculous.
It's the opposite of what y'all said.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You can go back to introducing our second half of our show. I just want to get that out there.
Coming up next, we have Mike DeFabo. Not Mike Dugar. You guys will find out the mistake I make during the show. He hops on next. DK, revenge game. Jalen Ramsey. Is he going to get some action against JSN? Aaron Rodgers. He had a really good day against the Jets. Are we expecting the same thing? And also, the run defense for the Steelers was abysmal. I'm sure the Seahawks are going to love to hear the answers DeFabo gives you guys in regards to can the Seahawks pound the rock. So here comes Mike DeFabo up next.
All right, joining us on the show, Mike DeFabo covers the Steelers for The Athletic. First time on the show. Mike, welcome to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast. How are you?
Hey, guys. I've seen you guys on social media a lot, so my honor and privilege to join you guys on the show.
Oh, hey, thank you so much. How are things over there in Steelers world after a week 1 win?
Man, people are kind of going crazy here after seeing what Aaron Rodgers did because, look, even the most optimistic Steelers fan, when Aaron Rodgers came in, their whole thought process was Aaron Rodgers might not be at his MVP prime, but they were trying to convince themselves the Steelers wouldn't need him to be because they've got the NFL's highest paid defense by $17 million. And they've got this rebuilt offensive line that they've invested in so much. And that was supposed to support Rodgers with this reliable running game, and they were going to be able to protect him. Well, the two things you were supposed to count on, the offensive line and the defense, completely flopped in week 1, but it was Rodgers himself who stepped up, threw for 4 touchdown passes. So fans are a little bit conflicted. On one hand, they're really excited about what they've seen from Rodgers. They're starting to feel like, man, if the defense and the offensive line can get together, this team could be special. But it's week 1, small sample size right now, a lot of overreaction.
Yeah, week 1 overreactions are always great here. I just took a glance at the over the cap numbers for the Steelers defense. Oh boy,
it's crazy.
Oh.
It's crazy. Yeah. So this is the 4th consecutive year that they're going to have the NFL's highest paid defense. And to just put it in perspective,
wow,
you could take Patrick Queen off this defense, right? He's a guy that made a Pro Bowl, kind of a premier inside linebacker, and they still would have the NFL's highest paid defense. So here in Pittsburgh, it's a big point of contention because people feel like if you pay the most, you should be the best. And while the Steelers last year led the NFL in turnovers or tied with the Vikings for most turnovers produced, they won 2 games that the offense failed to score a touchdown on the back of the defense, and they were top 10 in scoring. People still were calling for the defensive coordinator to be fired at the end of the year because they gave up nearly 300 rushing yards to Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and the Ravens. And the defense really kind of fell apart down the stretch against quality quarterbacks, physical rushing offenses. And so, this first game was supposed to be their chance to show their improvements. And instead, against a Jets offense that has some of those same run concepts, the zone read, of a mobile quarterback, they were gashed on the ground and they could not stop the run. And so, different kind of challenge this week against the Seahawks, but similar in the sense that they're going to see another team committed to running the football and wants to make that part of their identity.
We will get to what happened with the run game on defense against the Jets. Wow, that 4 years in a row with the highest paid defense. Wow, that is. I would be upset about that as well if I was a fan. But let's go big picture here for a second, because I like to compare the Seahawks and the Steelers. I feel like they're in very similar spaces as franchises. Maybe not as much so because the Seahawks fired Pete. But it feels like the Steelers are in the same space the Seahawks were when they fired Pete, and that like we being like the franchise, the fans, whoever, we are tired of competing but not contending. It's like the outside of Pittsburgh, kind of like it's Mike Tomlin, he doesn't ever have a losing record, but give me the last year they won a playoff game, 2016. You have that right?
Yeah, it's been 8 years without a playoff win.
Yeah. So with that said, though, sorry to cut you off. With that said, kind of where's the franchise at now with this idea of like competing but not contending? Is the seat warm for Tomlin, or wholesale changes potentially coming if they don't become a contender? What do you think?
Well, I think that Mike Tomlin's job security and his approval rating in Pittsburgh are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's closer to a lifetime contract here than he is any kind of a hot seat. Even if, let's say, things go terribly wrong, they win 5 games, the Aaron Rodgers marriage is a disaster, I still feel like they would not move on from Mike Tomlin, just because you have to realize the Steelers are a franchise that values stability and continuity above all else. They have had 3 head coaches since they hired Chuck Noll in 1969. And very much they are a coach-centric organization that gives a lot of power and trust their coach to figure it out. And like, for better or worse, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of organizations that spin their wheels because they hire a new coach. Okay, he doesn't like the quarterback. He wants a new quarterback. He wants to run a 4-3, and they're running a 3-4, so they got to change the defense up. They make all these changes. Then they don't get the success. The next thing you know, they bring a new coach. He wants a new quarterback. He wants a new, scheme on defense. So there's merit to the continuity and the consistency, but there's no question that Steelers fans are kind of like fed up. Art Rooney, the team president and owner, a couple years ago came out at the end of the year and said, "I'm never going to apologize for a year that we make the playoffs." But now the tone has started to change a little bit, where after 8 years, no playoff wins, people are getting pretty impatient. And I think that's where this offseason, why you saw the Steelers so aggressive, or some people might even use the term desperate, because the Steelers are historically patient, draft and develop kind of organization. And general manager Omar Khan, it was like he was playing Madden out there or fantasy football or something. I mean, he trades Minkah Fitzpatrick for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. He signs Aaron Rodgers. He signs Darius Slay. He does the big blockbuster trade for DK Metcalf. So this team has made a lot of changes, but will that then get them the playoff win? I feel like that's really like the expectation. Like if they win a playoff game, people are going to be happy. Anything less than that, I think people are going to be frustrated, just like they were last year.
Seahawks fans, that sounds familiar. That sounds very, very familiar over there. Let's speaking of week 1 overreactions, and I'm gonna tie this into DK because we have to just kind of start the show, quote unquote, asking about him. It feels like the DK Metcalf drop on a little shallow cross against the Jets was the drop heard around the world. I got text that video clip in 3 different group chats that he dropped that pass, including Chris, I think, sent one into our fantasy chat. It's like, oh wow, like everyone's like, see, we should have got rid of that guy. Not to say Chris said that, but it just kind of shows you how big of a deal that was. So DK, like you mentioned, was one of the big trades. Give him a 2nd round pick, pay him all that money. How's he look both in training camp and in week 1? What are you seeing from DK?
I think that he's been really good for the most part. There was some question about how would Aaron Rodgers mesh with DK Metcalf, because Rodgers loves like detailed, precise route runners. I'm not sure that DK is necessarily exactly that. But one thing that has meshed really well is Aaron Rodgers still has that lightning quick release. He wants to get the ball out of his hands really quickly. DK, as big and as physical as he is, he can win off the line of scrimmage with slants. Like that is his game. And that has been a huge piece of the Steelers offense. And like right now, there have been like for 2 years questions about the depth at the Steelers wide receiver position. Who is wide receiver number 2? So in the absence of a clear cut number 2, DK is just far and away that number one threat. And so, one thing that has worked well is like with a veteran quarterback who has his mobility is clearly in decline. Steelers want to get the ball out of his hands even more quickly. A lot of quick game kind of stuff. Well, with the Jets, that was like a bunch of 4 and 5 yard passes, and Rodgers had to be perfect to go down the field and score a touchdown. But when you got a big guy like DK who can produce the yards after catch, the Steelers only had 4.5 air yards per attempt, but they were near the league lead in yards after catch. And so I think that that's going to be a big component of this offense. Now, the other thing that DK does really well is he can really take the top off of the defense. And that's the part that I kind of have a question about how Aaron Rodgers and DK are going to fit together. Because earlier in his career, Rodgers was a magician in terms of creating outside of structure, buying himself time with his mobility to attack deep downfield. A lot of that has gone away, and there have been times when he's looked reluctant to attack downfield. So, when it comes to like stylistically how these two guys go together, that's still an unanswered question as far as I'm concerned in terms of how this is going to play out long term.
I'm curious more with Aaron Rodgers because
we just lost Chris. Where'd Chris go? Hold on. Yeah, 1 second. And he's the one producing too. Let me see here. Let me give it a sec. We've never had that happen.
There we go. I just kick myself out?
Yeah, I think so. You all right? You good?
Yes. I don't even know if you heard my first question. My first part. What happened?
You started to say something about Rodgers. I heard the very, very, very first part of it, and that's it.
The great power of having this being pre-recorded. All right. So I'll go ahead and go with Aaron Rodgers. So with Aaron Rodgers, I am curious about how they plan on attacking the Seahawks defensively, because against the Jets, Rodgers relied on the quick throws and yards after catch, as you mentioned, with DK using slants, quick drag routes, those type of things. But Seattle thrives on rallying to the football and limiting yards after catch. So is that formula sustainable, you think, of getting the ball out quick and finding your targets?
I think that this is going to be one of those first tests to see how they do long term. And I have my doubts about how it's going to work over the course of a long season. Kind of what they're doing is like they're marrying some of Arthur Smith's philosophies with what Aaron Rodgers has done well in his career in the past. And Arthur Smith is more of the like the Shanahan tree kind of guy, a lot of outside zone runs, a lot of play action, a lot of crossing routes, things like that. So, that's going to be the game plan for the Steelers, but can they get it done? I don't know. The biggest thing really that I think concerns me is the young Steelers offensive line. So for people who don't follow too close to the Steelers, they have invested really heavily in the trenches with the hope of becoming a team that wins because their offensive line dominates. They've got a first-round pick at left tackle in Broderick Jones. They've got a first-round pick at right tackle in Troy Fautanu. And they've got a second-round pick at center in Zach Frazier. Well, against the Jets, that young offensive line absolutely was taking their lumps. They allowed 4 sacks and 7 quarterback hits. And in particular, the left tackle, Broderick Jones, who's finally making that transition in his 3rd year, he gave up 2 sacks to Will McDonald. So really rough day for him. And along those same lines, the running game is supposed to be like what the Steelers do. Arthur Smith ran the ball 4th most out of anyone in the NFL last year, but they weren't particularly efficient on it. Again, it was really tough sledding for the run game. So, I think that the things that the Seahawks can do in coverage are going to challenge the Steelers. But even more so, what I'm concerned about is what happens when they face these simulated pressures. Is this young offensive line going to be able to communicate and pick up and keep their quarterback, clean? And then secondarily, can they actually run the football, or are they going to become one-dimensional so that they become so predictable that the Seahawks can really send some pressures and start to tee off on Rodgers?
That should be very interesting to see. And then also, given the pressure that the Jets were able to get. You mentioned McDonald had a pair of sacks, 4 sacks in total as a team, and then 7 quarterback hits. Are you confident that the Steelers and that offensive line can hold up against a Seahawks pass rush that might be deeper and more athletic?
I don't have a lot of confidence, honestly, because Broderick Jones, he's a guy that had just 19 college starts when the Steelers drafted him a couple years ago out of Georgia. And when you get a guy that raw, you're basically betting on your coaching staff that they can develop him and prove that he was worth a first round pick. And the Steelers have taken a really bizarre approach to his development. They played him at right tackle his first 2 years, and then now they're flipping him over to what was supposed to be his natural position at the left. So you've got Broderick Jones this is only going to be his 3rd career start at left tackle. And then on the right side, Troy Fautanu is going to be making just his 3rd career start at right tackle. It's just not a lot of experience. And I think these guys are going to take their lumps, and it's a hard position. And I just feel like, based on what we saw last week, I don't expect dramatic improvements by week 2.
Seahawks fans are probably rejoicing right now because the Seahawks only had 1 sack, and that was on a safety blitz from Julian Love. So it'll be interesting to see how Mike McDonald uses pressures and attacks this young offensive line that kind of has Mr. DeFabo a little nervous out there. So we'll see how that all plays out. Mike, did you want to get to the offense side of things? Or
yeah,
Dugar? Sorry, see, I already screwed that up.
See, I told you, man. Just call me something different, man. So we could, So we could get it. Let's see, Steelers. So the Steelers here, they want to stop the run. They want to do that. They did not do that against the Jets. The 2-parter here. What happened, and how much of it do you think can carry over to week 2 potentially in the Seahawks' favor, given that they do not have a mobile quarterback the way that the Jets do?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Steelers really acknowledged that they needed to get more physical up front. And so their first round pick was Derek Harmon out of Oregon. He was as advertised during training camp, but he sustained an MCL sprain, and he's not going to be in for this game. So in his place, they're playing Isaiah Loudermilk, and Loudermilk was behind Larry Ogunjobi that the Steelers acknowledged wasn't good enough. So it's like they were supposed to upgrade from Larry Ogunjobi. Instead, they're taking a step back from Larry Ogunjobi by playing Isaiah Loudermilk. That's part of the problem. The other problem is the other 2 guys in their base defense, the interior defensive linemen, Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton. Both of those guys are getting blown off the ball. Their nose tackle in particular, Keanu Benton, really had a rough day, and he should be better than that. He's a 2nd-round pick who, as early as his rookie year, was looking really solid. So I think it really just starts first and foremost with playing with more physicality, more tenacity up front. The other factor here with the Steelers stopping the run is they've got 2 inside linebackers in Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson, incredibly mobile, really good coverage guys, but neither one of them is that downhill traditional inside linebacker thumper. And the knock on Peyton Wilson coming out of college was he struggles to get off of blocks. He's not very big. He's not very physical. He's a skinny guy that's super fast. Well, I think that some of those problems and some of those concerns came to fruition in that first game. So, in terms of confidence of them responding, I think the best bet is just that you're not playing a mobile quarterback. It's not 11-on-11 football. You don't have to account for the quarterback, which maybe should help some of the run fits and help some of the schematics. But again, they were counting on Derek Harmon being the reason why they were better, and he's still going to be on the bench in this game with an injury.
I want to get to some numbers here. I was gonna do that earlier. Let you get your answer in there. So Breece Hall hit him for 107 on 19 carries. Oh wow, what a day! Justin Fields added 48 on a couple tugs on 12 carries, and then Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen combined for 27 yards. Looks like really high success rates for everybody except for Allen there, and the Jets rushed for 13 first downs in that game, which for Seahawks fans, by comparison, Seahawks only had 4 by their running backs. they had 5 total if you count Sam Darnold scramble, but on design runs that weren't tush pushes, they only had 4. So I just show you how inept their run offense was as compared to what the Jets just did to the Steelers. And Mike, you are singing the Seahawks song right now. At least the fans, they're very worried. It's been a lot of years around here, like you said, the complaint in Pittsburgh for a little bit from the fans has been, well, we can pay the most, we should be the best. There you go.
Right.
In Seattle, that version, there are several versions of that in Seattle, but one of them that's perhaps most prominent is our OC says we should run the ball, so we should run the ball. And that just does not happen here. And it has not happened since 2018 when they had Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah, so I was pulling up, here's a quote from Mike Tomlin today from his press conference. He said, "We certainly have some video on tape from last week that should excite them and create urgency as we prepare." And he's talking about their inability to stop the run. The other thing that does help is without a mobile quarterback, Jalen Ramsey has been playing predominantly in the slot in their nickel defense. And the Steelers have been sending a lot of nickel pressures. And obviously that can affect a passer, but also that can help, change the numbers in the run game. And even that guy can get into the backfield and make some plays himself. So I think you might see a little bit more of that from Ramsey and from the Steelers in this game. And maybe that's part of how, they try to counteract and defend after struggling to stop the run last week.
Update on Joey Porter Jr.?
Yeah, so Joey Porter Jr. left the game with a hamstring injury. Tomlin's classic phrase is, we're going to let participation be our guide. So far they haven't yet to practice, so hard to really say, but it sounds like they're cautiously optimistic. The other main injury for the Steelers is in their secondary. Deshaun Elliott, their starting strong safety, is injured. Now, the Steelers underwent massive changes in their secondary. They traded Minkah Fitzpatrick, and there were already questions about the depth at safety. And Deshaun Elliott, who was your physical, in the box, run-stopping safety, he was supposed to be the guy that was like the stabilizer, that he was here before, he knows the calls, he knows the defense. He's already been declared out, and that's really big, especially against the run, because he does some really great things against the run. So today the Steelers signed Jabril Peppers. He's one option to start at strong safety. The other main candidate would be Chuck Clark, who's played a lot in the AFC North, physical downhill kind of guy, but also was available in training camp probably for a reason. And then their other safety is Juan Thornhill, who's mostly a free safety, middle field post kind of safety. But yeah, I think when you're talking about the Steelers trying to fix their problems, stopping the run, not having Deshaun Elliott is going to be a big problem for them, because he's usually part of their solution.
And another reason for Seahawk fans to be smiling, listening, and watching this show. All right, so let's stick with the secondary, because a piece that was going up against DK a lot was Jalen Ramsey. Now they're teammates, but now Jalen Ramsey, as you mentioned, he's been moving around on that defense. How do you foresee the outlook on keeping a lid on JSN, and how much of that is Jalen Ramsey going to be responsible for? I know he can't cover Garrett Wilson the entire game, but Garrett had a pretty good day. So how are the Steelers trying to look to avoid a repeat of that, if possible?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting to me, because in training camp, Mike Tomlin said, with the additions in the remade secondary, now they really feel great about their 3 cornerbacks. So they've got Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, and then Jalen Ramsey. And Tomlin said he felt like they could play man coverage against anybody. Well, that might have been a bit of gamesmanship, because they didn't play as much man coverage as he alluded to. Some of that might be because mobile quarterback, you don't want, defensive backs to the quarterback in man coverage. So maybe you'll see a bit more man coverage in this game. But they were a lot of zones, and within the zone, Jalen Ramsey's primary role is the slot corner. Then when they go to their base defense, he's actually the free safety in their base. And then it wasn't until Joey Porter got injured that he ended up playing outside corner. So when it comes to a plan to defend a guy like JSN, who had a ridiculous target share and a really nice week 1, I think it's going to be, based on what I've seen, a lot of zone coverage. I don't know if there is going to be a plan like, hey, Jalen, just take him out of things. Now, the things that could change that, Joey Porter Jr., his availability, If Joey Porter Jr. can't go, maybe they change things up and they decide to do that. And then just what they want to do. Do they want to play their defense, or do they want to just say, hey, we can match up with you with Ramsey? So they've got options. They've got some different things that they can look at. And I don't know for sure. But that's just kind of my read on things based on what I've seen so far from them.
God, that's why I like Mike Tomlin, man. He makes you feel confident in you, because Darius Slay graduated high school the same year as me. I'm not sure that signing him means we can play man against anybody.
Same thing though, because like they said that, and then Garrett Wilson burned Darius Slay for like a big touchdown in the game, and it was like, can you though? Can you actually play man coverage? Like the Steelers kind of like, Tomlin has long coveted certain guys. He's always loved DK Metcalf. He's always loved Ramsey. He's always loved Slay. And he just like compiled this team of all these guys he's like had a crush on forever. But it's like, they're all now like 30. Slay's 34 years old. Like, are these guys, it's still Jalen Ramsey and Slay, but like it's a 34-year-old Slay. You're not getting 25-year-old Slay.
He's like the NFL's Doc Rivers. Whenever Doc Rivers get a job, he just signs a bunch of guys that played for him before, no matter how old they are, which doesn't know everybody except his son for some reason. But yeah, it doesn't tend to work.
It's like the Steelers are literally like the entire 2019 Pro Bowl team. Like that's who they are right now. It's like Omar Khan, the GM, just got a copy of Madden 2019 and just went crazy with it.
Yeah, and it could work. I think that if the Steelers fans, if they want some good news, I think if there is a receiving core on a competent team that you feel like you can man up, it probably is the 2025 Seahawks. Because outside of Jackson, you don't got a ton of dudes who are like, all right, maybe they get you on a route or so, but it's not like, oh, we manned Cooper Kupp up and he burned us for 150 today. Whereas if you do that to Jax, like you are probably going to get hit for 150. You actually probably be lucky if you got hit for just 150 if you did that to Jax the whole game. So that will I actually just watched this the replay of the Garrett Wilson touchdown on Slade too. That's a tough one, man. That's across the entire field. Man to man, safety chooses to help on who's the Jets' other receiver? Is that Josh Reynolds? Do the Jets have Josh Reynolds? I did not know that. Helping on Josh Reynolds instead of Garrett Wilson. That's a choice there. By that safety. But yeah, I think that's going to define the game. I think is their ability to go mano a mano. I think you're right. There was some gamesmanship probably by Tomlin, but he's going to look at the film of week 1 from the Seahawks and say, okay, we can cover these guys. I think whether he's right or wrong or not, I can see him watching the film and be like, all right, these are the guys we can man up, especially with Jalen. How has Jalen looked in all these roles you mentioned, by the way?
He had a huge hit to end the game that's going kind of viral. I mean, he just destroyed Garrett Wilson on that one. And I think Ramsey has been really good. I think to the point that had they traded Minkah Fitzpatrick for Ramsey 1-for-1 straight up, the Steelers may have won that trade. And the biggest thing really is just like finding ways to unlock him using his versatility, moving him in the nickel, moving him to safety, moving him to outside corner occasionally. But I mean, you see his physicality, you see his length, you see his ball skills. All these things are still showing up through training camp and so far early in the season.
Is it prediction time now, Chris?
Yes, sir. Prediction time. Well, actually, before we get to prediction time, let's do an over and under. So it'll be DK Metcalf. It's fitting. It's only right we do that. So for DK Metcalf, right? So we'll go DK Metcalf receiving yards, 74.5. Are you taking the over or the under?
This is a tough one because I think you're pretty much spot on, but I'll go with the over just because there's a lack of other number 2 weapons, and I think that they're going to be funneling him the ball a lot. Like Aaron Rodgers just played in his own revenge game, if you want to call it that, at the Jets. He seems to be someone that kind of cares about those kinds of things. So I think that he'll assume that DK cares and try to funnel him the ball a little bit more. And so I think it's going to be like if they end up hitting on a big throw downfield or there's a really nice run after catch, he'll end up hitting that over. If not, I think he won't. But I like that, and I actually am pretty bullish on like him scoring a bunch of touchdowns this year. I think his over under on the season was like 6.5 going in. The Steelers have this drill called 7 shots. They start every practice with. It's basically like 7 chances of 2-point conversions, and Rodgers is always hitting DK on that. So if you happen to be lots of slants, lots of like whip routes, just winning off the line of scrimmage and getting the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hand basically is the move in the red zone. So yeah, I've liked what I've seen from DK and Aaron Rodgers, and I think that he could be primed for a good game here coming up against his old team.
All right, get your popcorn ready, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me see. Is FanDuel legal in Pennsylvania? Make some money if Mike's right. No, I'm not gonna do that. Is it though? Actually, you know what? Never mind. Not supposed to do that. All right. Let's get we got the overrun game prediction time. Mike, who you got? Give us a score.
Yeah, I think that the Steelers are favored by 2.5 or 3 points right now. I think that's probably how it's going to unfold. I like the Steelers to win a moderate scoring game, something in the 20s. I think the Steelers will win by 3.
All right, give us. So what you want? 23-20?
It's gotta be specific.
Down?
All right, how about no. Give me 27-24. How about that?
27-24. Go ahead, write that down. You are correct. The Steelers are favored by 2.5 at the crib. So there you go. All right, maybe we'll find out if FanDuel, DraftKings, all that is legal over there in Pennsylvania. It's long flights, man, to get over there. Win some money back. All right, Mike. Thank you for your predictions. We will hold you to them and shame you if you are wrong. No, I'm kidding. We will not do that. No. It's all. We'll let the fans do that. Fans love predictions. Although I think I do find it funny. We are in this weird space for like team accounts now, like to post out when people pick them to lose. I don't like that. It's like, come on, man. Like we're not entitled to believe in you.
One quick story. Patrick Queen takes them so seriously that there was like a TV reporter that did a sit-down interview with him, and then they were playing the Ravens, and they ended up getting smoked by the Ravens, but the reporter picked the Ravens to win, and he refused to talk to him in the locker room after the game. He's like, I'll talk to everybody else but you because you picked the Ravens. So they look for motivation wherever they can get it, and sometimes players can be a little petty about those predictions. So,
that's very petty.
Yeah.
And the reporter was right.
And he was right.
What? Are you mad at me because I'm right? What? That's super petty. All right, Mike, before we get you out of here, first let me do this. Thank you guys all for listening to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast. Like, subscribe, follow us, like wherever, do all the good buttons. Follow me, Chris, on all the social media platforms. Mike, to close us out, the floor is yours. Let people know where they can follow you. Plug anything you got, podcast writing, whatever. The floor is yours to close us out.
Yeah, keep things real simple. You can follow me on all social media at Mike DeFabo, DEFABO. You can read all my work in The Athletic along with Mike. I'm sure we'll have a collab story at the buzzer. And also started a podcast called The Insiders. And Mike was a guest on it, did a fantastic job breaking things down. So if you're like, we need more podcasts with more analysis, you can check out that podcast and we have more for you there.
All right, that's The Insiders, correct? That's the name of the show?
Yinsiders with a Y, because in Pittsburgh, Yins is like, they're like, there's y'all, like the plural you.
Oh, Yinsiders. Okay, glad I clarified that. Gotcha. Okay.
With a Z, Y-I-N-Z. Yeah, the Yinsiders.
Oh, there we go. Glad I would have completely got that wrong if we'd have put that in the show description. So I'm glad glad that we got that right. All right. Well, thank you, Mike. I will see you this weekend in Pittsburgh. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We will catch you guys on our Standout Plays episode dropping exclusively on YouTube this Friday, and then our post-game show after the game that Mike says the Steelers are going to win. DeFabo, not Dugar. All right. Until then, see ya. Peace.